16 teams continue the fight in the final week of Season 5, live from the WGLNA. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Joshua Gray.
And I'm Randall Holcomb. Welcome back, Josh. I hope you had a nice time away.
I did. I had a lot of fun in Las Vegas. We had the DICE Summit. Wargaming was there along with some other developers and Twitch, and it was great. A lot of people loved it, but it's great to be back as well. The final week, if you can believe it, week 8.
Yes. It's coming to a close. We're finally seeing who's going to be getting those 2 bye slots to our finals, who's going to be fighting over in the playoffs to see if they'll make it, and we've seen some teams emerge late in the season to really impress us.
And that emergence from the freshman class, I like to call it, being at FeaR, formerly known as Full Potato, with their name change, I Love Lamp, and others have been very impressive. But we've seen this impressive play happen last season as well, and can they continue that momentum moving into the next step, which is the playoffs?
I mean, that really is the big question, isn't it? Can they keep this up? Because teams like Elevate and FeaR and I Love Lamp have been so great, but we'll see if they can keep it up. Sure.
Let's take a look at the scores that happened on Thursday night, where Andre Gritorp-Hengshua filled in for me. A huge shout out and thank you to Andre. Simple Tinkers take out Noble 5-1. Roulette 5-2 against Timed Out. Elevate 5-1 against Hammer Time. And RBIS falls to I Love Lamp 5-2. Very definitive wins for all those teams on Thursday.
Every single one. If you look at the scores, the only one that wasn't a 5-2 or 5-1 was Simp versus Full Potato. Like, that was, that was actually still a 5-2. Never mind, sorry. I'm even wrong there. It was literally all 5-2s.
It's very clear, very concise wins compared to a lot of the tiebreakers and closer victories we've seen in about the mid-range of the season, which just shows that teams are starting to improve and some teams are starting to move ahead of the pack compared to the rest. Let's take a look at the matches that were not broadcasted on Thursday. We had Fun Gaming falling to the Cunninghams 2-5. Victoria's Secret took down Penguin Mafia 5-2. Penguin Mafia, unfortunately, at the bottom of our standings right now. Simp lost to FeaR.
Yes.
2-5, and Top Tier lost to Simply Irresistible. Tell me about this FeaR versus Simp matchup.
Okay. Now, I've listened to the comms of Simp for the past few weeks to try and get a beat on where they are. There was a time when they were rough. Things weren't seeming like they normally were for Simp. They were falling behind. They started making some changes, and you're seeing improvement. They're starting to catch back up. But FeaR, in the meantime, has been doing their homework and putting in the work and the time. They're getting the results because of it. And against Simp, they knew what their opponent was able to do. Simp, on the other hand, was not as well prepared as FeaR. They didn't know the strats well enough, at least next to FeaR's preparedness. And even though they're a competent team, excellent players, excellent synergy, they could not keep up with the practice and hard work that FeaR had put in.
Well, top spot may be in jeopardy for Simp right now as they're tied with the Cunninghams, I believe, for second place. But anything can still happen in these next 2 match days, tonight and Thursday night. Let's take a look at the Roulette versus Timed Out matchup. The first matchup, we're going to dive in and see kind of what happened here. Simple Tankers, Prohorovka, don't really go into much analytics. These guys dominate on Prohorovka. But Noble seemed that they really couldn't break into the defenses, at least in battle number 4.
I mean, Simple Tankers at every single turn was playing properly. There were times when it looked a little sketchy for them, you know, like you were afraid that for Simple Tankers, or you were looking at Noble and saying they're doing the right thing. But in a few moments, Simple Tankers has this knack to turn things around. You know, land the right shots, just get into this one position or another, or play as a team in a way that will surprise you at times, where teamwork is absolutely what's needed and they execute flawlessly at times. It does surprise me how in a moment you can see 2 players on the team just execute something as if perfectly practiced.
Practice makes perfect, especially perfect practice making perfect. Let's move on into Roulette versus Timed Out. Timed Out are Brazilian friends who are showing some really great games towards the end of this season, but unfortunately not getting a victory here. Roulette was able to dominate. Yeah,
Timed Out is just looking to, you know, crush hearts, you know, in dreams. But Roulette showed up, played much better than they have in the past, although Timed Out did try their best and they have been looking much better. Roulette was also, unfortunately, not able to get a lot of points off of their recovered matches. This one being some points and then only 1 more in the recovery. 2 losses, though, in those makeup matches.
It's a rebuilding season for this team, and because of that, they're going to have some ups and downs. We've seen that this season, especially from last season being the champion, the ones that took home the first place prize. They recognize that. I hope they recognize that, and they're going to try to do the best they can tonight and into Thursday. Final matchup we're going to take a look at is Elevate versus Hammer Time. Now, Elevate has been really living up to their name. They have elevated themselves when it comes to their professional play on the battlefield. Hammer Time's a team that's been with us for such a long time, the same amount of time you could say as Elevate, formerly Bernal Empires, and they're a team that takes 2 steps forward, but unfortunately 1 step back.
Yeah,
a couple times.
I like to think that Hammer Time is that just 3rd place team now, where Simp will sit in 1st, Cunningham 2nd, Hammer Time 3rd, and it seems like they'll never rise above the other, at least for not very long. And as you see that in the standings repeatedly, Hammer Time plays very well consistently, but not quite as well consistently as the Cunninghams or Simp. So when you have Elevate, a team that's been getting better and better as the season goes by, especially after their restructuring, I think the restructuring being the big thing that set them back at the beginning of the season. Once they got a lot of that out of the way, started figuring out how to play with each other better, now they're starting to pick up speed and get really good.
But when does it become too late for the team? And that's a tough part that teams have to go through. If they're not going to make it to the playoffs or they're not going to make it to San Francisco, it's that time in between, the amount of time they focus, the amount of time that they go back and look at mistakes or calls that were made that were not the best calls at that time. And that's what's going to improve teams from this season on to the next season if they can't make it to San Francisco.
Although they are sitting pretty for our playoffs. Both Elevate, Hammer Time are looking good for it. I don't see a good chance that they're going to drop out. There's a chance. There's always a chance that someone can overtake them and kick them down to 11th, but they're looking good for it.
Now, Randall, a lot of times in these matches, we're seeing fires break out here and there, but not as often as one would think. Why is that?
Well, it's because they don't bring a fire extinguisher or an automatic fire extinguisher, as I recommend. Here's something from Josh on just that.
Hello, tankers, and welcome to crew training. Every tank commander knows that fire can be a friend or foe. Now, sometimes when you hit a tank in the right spot with RNG in your favor, that tank will catch fire, thereby losing hit points over time. As much fun as it is to watch an enemy tank go down in flames, it's not fun when it happens to you.
Fire! Fire! Fire, 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 fire.
That's where firefighting comes in. Now, every crew member can learn the firefighting skill, and this skill averages across the entire crew. Your drivers can also learn preventative maintenance, which will reduce the chance of fire by preventing gas or oil leakage in the engine compartment. The skill goes into effect once training begins. Even though your crew can be trained to the max in firefighting, blazes may still occur. That's why it's important to have a manual fire extinguisher as one of your consumable items, ready to douse those flames with the touch of a button. If you have the gold or credits to spare, you can upgrade to an automatic fire extinguisher, which will add 10% to fire protection. But remember, both of these items are single use only. Good luck, and we'll see you on the battlefield.
Every single time, get those firefighting kits. The automatic extinguishers really help, but also your crew training is important as well.
Of course, yeah. And the firefighting crew skill is a choice, one that maybe you could just get the automatic fire extinguisher. I, for one, bought a lot of them, and I keep a store of at least a few hundred.
Let's take a look at our first matchup tonight. That's going to be FeaR versus I Love Lamp. FeaR is a team that has impressed us, part of that freshman class, formerly known as Full Potato. Huge congratulations to them with their new sponsorship, and they're looking really pretty. 4th place right now.
Yeah, they really have stepped up. Beginning of the season, a few losses here and there, but I think that we looked at them and we said, this isn't going to be a big team, but we stopped paying attention. And so it snuck up on us. They got good weeks ago, but we didn't get to notice that because we'd seen them perform so poorly at the beginning. They've turned it completely around, and now where they were possibly one of the bottom 8, they're definitely within the top 8 of teams in our league.
And I Love Lamp is right behind them in 5th place. Simple Tankers versus Simply Irresistible will be the second matchup tonight. Simple Tankers still on that highway to the danger zone. They're tied for 5th place with I Love Lamp and Elevate. They had a loss against Top Tier, but a victory against Noble last week, and this is their final push into the playoffs. They're looking good. They need to break away from this 5th place tie right now. And when it comes to Simply Irresistible, they're in 8th place. Not a bad place to be, really, honestly, right in the middle. But they have gone back and forth a little bit during this season. Still, freshman class again, their first time in the Gold League.
Yeah, and it's not even that big a difference. That 8th place, yeah, but there's a tie just before them with three teams with 24, and they're just behind that. So if they get a win today, that'll tie them up with Simple Tankers and with a number of other teams. Now, the tie may not continue for much longer, but Simply Irresistible, I think they stand on even footing with Simple Tankers, so this will be a close match with slightly different play styles, which should produce some entertaining results.
Oh, for sure. Hammer Time versus Penguin Mafia will be our third match of the night. Hammer Time currently in third place, and they're waiting for those top teams to topple Simp or Cunningham's. If Hammer Time is able to take them over, they can get the seed automatically into the finals in San Francisco, bypassing the playoffs altogether, and that'll be a huge victory for Hammer Time.
Yeah, well, they have to win the one tonight, and then they have to get 3 points tomorrow, and on top of that, they have to hope for some bad luck coming to Simp or the Cunninghams to get there. It's going to be their hard work and their opponents' just mistakes that'll get them into that awesome seed. But in the meantime, I mean, the third seed is still pretty good.
Yeah, Penguin Mafia is in a really tough spot right now, the bottom of our standings, but the best that they can do is play their game and play their heart out against Hammer Time to make a stand, to take a stand, to go toe-to-toe with one of the best teams in the league, and hopefully learn a lot of things, and if they get bumped out of the Gold League, to vie to come back. And we've seen teams do that. We saw Simple Tankers do that last season. Anybody can work their way back into the Gold League. Hopefully Penguin Mafia can do so if that becomes their fate at the end of regular play at the end of the week. The final matchup is Roulette versus Simp, and oh, how the mighty have fallen, Randall.
Yeah, last season, Roulette was so much stronger towards the end of the season. They were on just the hottest hot streak that you could look at. Simp just fell behind. So did Fnatic at the time. Arvis even showed up and was just wrecking everyone. But Roulette this season, it's a different game, and they've been struggling with that. On top of that struggle and the pressure of being the last season's champions, they had to go overseas to a tournament. I think that threw them off. I think that threw off a lot of their progress and really has put them in a place that is uncomfortable. They're trying to recover, and you can see the progress, but they still lost so much potential that they had.
Yeah. Now, with Simp, I know we've been excited to see when Simp has lost. We're going to step away from that for now. We've seen it. They've had a number of full losses. Now's the time for Simp to make adjustments accordingly because they're going through changes. They're going through leadership changes. And the recourse for those changes is time. Simp needed better time management on the battlefield. They've done it. That's why they're #1 team, even tied with Cunningham's right now. Now they need time management outside of the battlefield to work with their new leadership and new changes to the team. Still one of the top contenders in North America. Now, because of the change with Full Potato to FeaR, we've seen a number of branding changes happen from the end of Season 4 into Season 5. So towards the end of the season, this is a very exciting time for Full Potato.
Oh, certainly, certainly. Full Potato, I think, is going to be that team that next season and seasons after is going to stick around and become just as dominant as Simp and the Cunninghams and Hammer Time.
We have a very special message from Meadowhawk. Let's go ahead and take a look.
Thank you all for waiting. I know it's been a long day. As many of you already know, our general management team has been in closed-door negotiations throughout the morning. And so without any further delay, we are pleased to announce that as of today, Full Potato will be known as Team FeaR. Team FeaR is the most recognizable gaming franchise competing in professional esports today. And since 2001, they have competed in every multiplayer game for all consoles. With their success, they are looking to expand their brand into the PC market. The WGLNA has impressed them with the progress they have made over the past 5 seasons, and so they have chosen World of Tanks Gold League to accomplish this. Our organization is excited to be partnering with them to achieve this goal, and we're looking forward to what the future will bring us. As Franklin D. Roosevelt once said, there is nothing to fear but fear itself.
And there you have it, folks. Formerly Full Potato, now Team FeaR. Congratulations on your new sponsorship and the new name. And we look forward to watching your career in the Gold League continue to take off here at the WGLNA.
I was really hoping they were going to bring in a Dune quote. Just like, fear's the mind killer. It's a little thing that creeps. I was really looking forward to that. Okay, presidential quotes
Maybe
are
if
good
they
too.
win. Maybe if they win, that could be their
please.
speech. As a reminder, please follow us on Twitter at WGLNA, Facebook.com/WGLNA, and make sure to use that hashtag WGLNA so we can find your tweets and put them up on the broadcast.
And question of the day, guys. I know some of you hate on a few tanks in the game, but what is the most well-balanced tank in the game and why? Please let us know at WGLNA, hashtag WGLNA.
140 characters are quite a loaded question, but I am looking forward to the amount of answers that we have. And I believe the face-off is ready between our 2 team representatives from I Love Lamp and FeaR. Gentlemen, good evening.
Nice to see you guys again.
Thank you. Good to see you, Meadowhawk. Let's start with you first. Congratulations on the exciting news. Does this add more pressure to your team? Do you feel that this is a big achievement for your team and you're looking forward to the future?
It's quite an achievement. We're happy that we're good enough that another organization recognized us and wanted to bring us on board. So in that sense, it's great. And as for pressure, I don't think so. I mean, we're still the old guys. We're the old team. Our strats have been the same. Our practices have been the same, and things are going well.
They're going very well for your team. Looking forward to the playoffs and then possibly San Francisco. Are you guys starting to kind of get those travel dates set in order for your team? Are you that confident you're going to make it?
Well, it's really tight. I don't think we're that confident, but hopefully this last week works out for us. The win against Simp was really big. I'm not going to lie. I think if we would have played them in the first 2 or 3 weeks there when we were struggling, they probably would have cleaned us up. But, I mean, we've been practicing really hard. We've been picking up scrims wherever we can, scrimming against WASD from the EU League, and shout out to them on their playoff run. And we even have a scrim coming up possibly against a Korean team.
Oh, that's awesome. What are you going to be doing to pad external stats in this coming battle?
Well, external is currently MIA. Hopefully he's here for when this game starts.
All right.
Otherwise we'll be focusing on Chandog stats.
Of course. What are you going to be doing to work on your fantasy stats against I Love Lamp, though? I know there's a deep strategy going on with this.
Well, I had a look at the fantasy stats, and I think external and Chandog are the only real ones out of our team that have a good, running. So we're going to focus both on them if we can. If not, a win's a win. We'll take the win without them getting kills and damage.
Well said, Meadowhawk. A win is a win. Let's check in with I Love Lamp. We have Consequences joining us with some awesome glasses, by the way. Hello, Consequences.
What's going on?
Another day here at the studio. I Love Lamp is a team that continues to impress, and at the beginning was part of a big class of new tankers, of new teams joining us. Now you guys have really, really set yourselves apart as a new team. What changed for you throughout your whole career in the Gold League, and will those changes help you get into the playoffs?
About halfway through the season, we went through a bit of a roster change, putting Invade on the team. That definitely made a big difference for us. We also, I think we started putting a little bit more effort. Beginning of the season, we probably weren't putting as much as we should have, but we've definitely made changes, and it's helped a lot.
Well, you've seen the consequences, positive consequences of those changes. I pardon the pun. We need to get ready for the first matchup. So, Consequences, do you have any words for your opponents before we start?
I don't know. Good luck, I guess. It's probably the most hyped up match so far, so it's not a disappointment.
All right. Meadowhawk, any words?
I think you guys are in for a great battle. Lamp has mirrored us for this season. They started off rough, but they've really straightened themselves out. So it's going to be tight. Brace yourselves.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you very much. Good luck. We'll see you on the battlefield.
Good night.
All right.
Were you reminded of when Consequences was wearing that mask? Wasn't it Pub Stars in a past season that showed up on a face-off wearing all ski gear?
That might have been Haywood or another individual.
No, that was Haywood, exactly. Yeah. He's gone now. I miss him. He was fun.
We still talk on Twitter. You guys can follow him at Haywood. And you can also place your bets right now because the battle's about to begin. It's really easy. All you have to do is follow the syntax in Twitch chat. If you have any questions, reach out to our moderators, Badco, and along with our other moderators are standing by. Huge shout out to Badco. You can also go to WGLConnect.com to check where you stand on the leaderboard. The top performers with the most amount of points will have a nice little prize waiting for them. And that's why you want to place your bets at the beginning of every single battle.
Now, I did mention during the face-off the fantasy stats. I should probably mention the fantasy site. It is www.fantasywgl.com. And then from there you can log in with your World of Tanks account, start your own fantasy team. It's a little late in the season, but at least you can keep up with everyone's stats, the progress, and who is standing out on each and every team.
Yeah, it really paints a picture for these teams when it comes to how they're performing on the battlefield if you can't watch the VODs or watch all of the matches.
You can get all of the replays, though, from every single match, and you can watch them yourselves and learn to observe.
Let's take a look at the rosters for our two teams here. And you notice that I Love Lamp talked about the roster changes. I cannot fully remember if Full Potato, now Team FeaR, had any roster changes.
I don't think that theirs were nearly as significant. I think Invade coming to I Love Lamp was a really big deal because in past seasons, he's been a stand-up player. Shows up, 1 or 2 matches, he was dealing with some of his own issues, but he just would show up and he would play excellently. even though he wouldn't have nearly as much time put in. And then he unfortunately wouldn't get to play as much. But when he was on the battlefield, he was doing so much for his team.
Yeah, if you're familiar with Invade, he did have some health issues, and he is why he's one of the champions of WGLNA, because he continues to stay committed to this league. Battle number 1 of the first matchup, Team FeaR versus I Love Lamp, is about to begin on Murdowanka. Randall, what do we have for tanks?
For tanks, we have a T-32 Pershing, 2 1390s, 2 RU-251s, and a 5916. For FeaR, the red team defending. The blue team attacking, I Love Lamp, will have a single T-32, 2 Pershings, 2 1390s, an RU-251, and Baby Halo in that T-37. This is I Love Lamp's traditional opening strat on this map when they attack. They will go to put their attention towards Echo 3. Those Pershings, that T-32, will make their way. There is a small opening for some damage to be dealt and some scouting to be done, but I Love Lamp has such an opening that FeaR can't really bring out a hard counter to this. They have to sit back and wait because they have an equally as slow lineup.
Shot out against Aggressor, and that's a hit for 249. Took a little bit of damage there, but also did some damage to some of the components of the tank itself.
Oh, really?
So the gas tank and tracks possibly were hit.
Nice, nice. Okay, so that's okay. I don't
It's a bit
think
of an
it's
annoyance. No, it's a bit of an annoyance for
Yeah.
Aggressor, but it's not going to be that impactful to make or break the game unless it was a 1v1.
It may
He's
be.
trying to escape somebody.
Maybe, but he's not going to have to burn his repair kit or anything on it. He's going to sit with those crits on. They're not really going to affect him as much. It would be his ammo rack that would be a problem, or if he lost some crew members, that would be very annoying.
Well, I Love Lamp, as the attackers, have got to find a method of dismemberment when it comes to taking down these individual tanks from Team FeaR. They're in a great defensive spot, as you can notice on the map itself, but look at Invade and Consequences. They are now moving through the Magical Forest, a place that is uncontested right now. Meadowhawk is the one tank that's closest, and Baby Halo's been able to scout to the south. So map control can really go into the positive favor of I Love Lamp, but what comes down to flag caps or tank kills, that's what's going to matter in the end.
Exactly. I Love Lamp also brought this strategy, I believe, against Simp, and they may be going for much of the same execution, but FeaR is a team that studies their opponents very well, and so I expect that we'll be seeing something along the lines of what we saw against Simp, where we're going to see Commodore be focused down in that T-32 from 2 different angles. One from the northwest, where Fight Breast Cancer is, and then the other one from the opposite direction where Invade, Baby Halo currently are. They may shift further south into the west to get a better angle, and then we'll see those mediums and that heavy, the T-32 and Pershings, begin slow pushing up to push out Meadowhawk and then force FeaR into a smaller box, wherein then I Love Lamp can focus on the cap whilst creating that kind of pressure.
Invade moving slowly towards the enemy territory, trying to use this house as cover. Meadowhawk may spot him.
At the same time, Aggressor and Akula are moving up, and there's fire from the northwest. Fight Breast Cancer grabbing the attention of Commodore so that he cannot begin putting any of his attention towards Invade or Baby Halo as they move up. But Commodore looks like he wants to put pressure on Baby Halo because he has taken 1 shell already. That coming from, I believe it must have been Mako's.
There's a couple shots fired from across the way, and Makos takes another hit for 251.
And here we go. Here's I Love Lamp strategy working out. Baby Halo fires one direction to Commodore. From the other, we have Fight Breast Cancer. And now Commodore recognizes what he has to do to get out of the situation. Forward is one of the directions he has, and he goes for that. That'll remove Baby Halo as a real threat. And now Commodore can focus on just not taking damage from Fight Breast Cancer. In the meantime, they have given up a lot of control to Akula and Aggressor. Those Pershings now sit in such a position that that I Love Lamp can start putting pressure on the cap and also find Meadowhawk and take him out because he is spotted.
He is hit for 245, and he will be focused down. Invade gets the kill. That might reveal some of the positions of I Love Lamp, though. However, Team FeaR has been charting where these different tanks from I Love Lamp have been pushing in against them. 3 minutes and 13 seconds left for the defenders, Team FeaR, to hold against I Love Lamp, who now has an advantage when it comes to tanks. And also, if you look at that HP, slightly in their favor as well.
Exactly, that's what I was looking at as well. You see light peppering all over, and members of FeaR, Mako's, Commodore have taken damage. Chandog's a little bit hit. And in reply, no one from I Love Lamp has put at very low health. Now, because the cap has started, you're going to see the reaction from FeaR. Everyone's going to group up, and they're just going to go with that horde mentality. Just all one big blob to move forward, start a fight, win, and stop the cap. They don't have a lot of time to play around with, so they have to get this over with fast.
I really like the staggered setup of I Love Lamp right now because Baby Halo is so far behind any danger coming from FeaR. They have to work through all of these now defending tanks of the aggressors, I Love Lamp, and they're putting enough shots into Warhander to have to back up a little bit. FeaR, FatCrobe, and Commodore have taken some hits, but now they're starting to push forward. They need to select a current target, and they're spread out when it comes to their firefighting here. FeaR takes another double hit for 498 in that total volley. Makos gets hit again, and this firefight continues as Team FeaR is trying to press up with 47 seconds left on the base capture.
And now Makos, FeaR are very low. Invade takes him down, and now Fight Breast Kits are no. Invade will get another kill onto FeaR. Invade's just cleaning up.
Aggressor stops FatCrobe here. Commodore still at the bottom of the hill. He takes down Consequences. A number of tanks still left alive for I Love Lamp to shut down the rest of these defenders. 31 seconds left. Still no reset has happened on the flag cap. Commodore is low. Warbanner takes another hit. And FeaR has been down. Chandog is the next tank to go down.
And now Warbender, he is getting close to the cap. I'm waiting for him to reset, but he may be afraid of going out in the open.
He's too low. He can't get it. Now he's surrounded. And I Love Lamp had total control here in battle number 1, and they're going to take the victory.
Yeah, I love how they set the tempo. They had the control. They had an anchor. That T-32 Pershing setup was so dangerous that you could not really leave the most safe positions in order to deal with the northwest or the southeast. They're so spread out and mobile as well that if you were to attack on the Pershings and T-32s, that would be throwing away tanks unnecessarily and also allowing for I Love Lamp to cap. I Love Lamp has a strong strategy setup, and it's flexible. It is not weak in any single area.
They're not overcommitting in any area of the map. They can move precisely to the right area they need to with that flexibility. Very strong presence on the map.
Yeah, I'm waiting for a team to figure out how to counter it, because there are possibilities out there, openings, lineups that you can bring that can defeat that. But when you bring a slower lineup, I think it's going to be difficult for you to overwhelm that quick enough. It's quite a problem to think through. I'm going to wait for a team, though, to execute on some kind of a counter against I Love Lamp's attack, because I really do like it. The defense that FeaR brought, very common. It's a strong, capable, flexible defense, but you can see where it can be taken apart, especially because it does not protect the east very well, and it requires on a passive scout who, while he can't be spotted unless you proxy him, can be blind fired, and if you do take enough control like I Love Lamp did, you can just take it down easy or send someone out to proxy it. It's not too hard to defeat. It has too many weaknesses.
And a lot of that is part of the scouting as well, at least at the beginning of the battle, in the first 2 minutes, to find out where exactly the enemy is going. And if you see a majority of tanks on one side of the map, doesn't mean all the tanks are there, and that's what we saw from Baby Halo and the rest of I Love Lamp. Battle number 2 is about to begin between Team FeaR and I Love Lamp. What do we have for tanks?
We have a T-32 Pershing again, 2 1390s, 2 RU-251s, and the 5916 from FeaR, again defending, and this will be their final defense. I Love Lamp and their final attack on Muravanka will do the same strat. T-32, 2 Pershings, 2 1390s, that RU-251 from Fight Breast Cancer, and Baby Halo in the T-37. So it's really the same situation. Will they execute the same way again? Will FeaR have some kind of a counter? I'm looking forward to this, as I do see FeaR sending a large number of their light tanks forward in an aggressive opening move, which could be their attempt at a counter strat to catch Consequences, Invade, and Baby Halo out of the fight while they're still waiting to do that setup.
Shot fired from FeaR towards Fight Breast Cancer. He dodges 2 shots. That's going to reveal some of the positions of Team FeaR, but they're obvious positions coming from the defensive side.
And look at this. I Love Lamp also predicts the counterplay from FeaR and is playing less aggressively with their hull-down tanks, sitting back in the north hill instead of joining on their opponent's south hill. Invade, Consequences holding back, and Baby Halo as well. These are both teams changing up their strategies, knowing what the other knows. They brought the same lineups, even the mind games here
Great mental preparation from both teams, and this is what Meadowhawk was talking about, is that both of them struggled at the beginning of the season, and now they're turning into these superstar teams for Season 5. Still in the last journey before they hit the finish line, obviously. They're not there yet, but this improvement, this marked improvement from the very beginning, 8 weeks ago to now, brings a lot of hope and a lot of discussion for a lot of teams that would love to join the Gold League.
It really does. It shows that it's just hard work. There's skill in there, yes, time put into this game. Each of these guys has been playing for a long time. But you can see how you can turn from a silver team, a team that belongs just below the gold, into someone who is challenging Simp and is now having a game that I'm really enjoying right now. I like just the first battle, that was cool. I like seeing that. That was not out of expectations, but watching the way these guys have altered their strategies is great. Now we're seeing Warbandr countering out Baby Halo.
Baby Halo, number of shots he has dodged, trying to get out of there. Invade has pulled back as well.
And that's FeaR, recognizing what ILoveLamp is going to do, understanding their tempo, and when to meet them at certain places, when to pick up Baby Halo, when to counter out Invade and force him back. Now you can tell from the minimap right now that Akula, Aggressor have all moved up in their Pershings to the traditional Foxtrot 3 position, but this is so much later, now 4 minutes and 30 seconds in, as opposed to where it was before.
Running Consequences, and Invade have now joined the same section of the map. Warbandr gets hit from Consequences, and double shots toward him.
And
does
he's
not
juking.
connect.
He's juking. He went back, moved forward at the perfect time, right when the 1390s were going to be reloaded, countered that 2-second wait, and then the 1 second more for the shells to come in.
Another shot towards Warbandr here.
Another juke. He is moving back and forth. He's in a little bit of a deflate. It's a difficult shot.
2 shots coming from Invade and Consequences. 1 does land for 257. Warbandr gets hit again for 256. He's in trouble. He fires back towards Consequences for 241. He's dodging back and forth. Consequences fires again. Now he's on the reload.
Yeah, and now Invade has 1 more. If he gets this connection, he can take down Warbandr, and it hits dirt. So Warbandr's going to stay alive.
And he's able to get another shot on Consequences. Can he get 1 more? No. He'll fall behind cover. Warbandr stays alive.
Real quick, there's another
tanks.
fight coming. FeaR is going to put pressure on the north, while ILoveLamp looks to be pressuring up as well. Chandog was going to go up and over. Looks like he's going to go out for the flank and 1v1 Fight Breast Cancer. Mako's going for Star Shield maybe. And nice, I like the crossfire. Fight Breast Cancer is going to be down to almost half health. 1390 can move in, put some fire on him, and move on to more important targets after that.
Team FeaR has to make the decision to aggress and try to overmatch these tanks and the right time at the right place, or hold as defenders for another 3 minutes and 10 seconds.
Chandog's going to stop. They're going to focus on the Pershings, but he takes a lot of fire before anyone is able to really begin their own engagement. And there, everyone moves in. Mako's right into the middle of them.
Star Shield is the lowest tank, and he's up front. Another hit, and he could fall. Commodore is now going to push in. Makos is on fire. He falls. Aggressor gets that kill. Aggressor still barely left alive, trying to fire back. He's tracked. A number of shots have bounced off, and ILoveLamp gets 2 more kills. Fatcrobe and Commodore fall. The attackers are doing significant damage to the defenders here, but Warbandr takes down Baby Halo. That's 2 tanks down for ILoveLamp.
I mean, ILoveLamp is so far ahead. 2,800 hit points on the battlefield next to 1,500, and now a little bit less than that. Could be 1 tank down even, as Chandog attempts to escape by breast cancer, but he's already on the move. Chandog is losing speed.
And he's lost speed. He's on the reload. Akula gets that shot. Fosta Kid is holding against these 3 tanks, and he's trying to move quickly, but Akula's going to hit him and get the kill. Nice shot, a nice kill coming from Akula here. Meadowhawk and Warbandr, last tanks left alive for FeaR, as ILoveLamp is poised to clean up yet again another battle here in Battle 2. And the tables will turn, as FeaR will be on the attack and ILoveLamp on the defense after this battle. 3 tanks on the flag cap. Minute and 53 seconds left. Enough time for those 3 tanks to get the capture. Meadowhawk and Warbandr have got to do almost a miracle if they can get there in time. With 20 seconds, they won't be able to.
It's really the impossible. I mean, Meadowhawk can do a lot of damage in the 59-16. Warbandr can deal plenty of damage himself. Invade's too healthy, though. Akula too healthy. Fight Breast Cancer, Aggressor, Akula, and Consequences. Maybe they could go down, but it's not going to happen. It was a really great show from FeaR, though. I think, though, that it was a mess-up of individual players making their shots count as opposed to the strategy, because both players, both teams were making the right choices. It was their execution that was the real differential here.
And that execution, when you look at those window timings, can make or break a battle. Because they had noticed Baby Halo and Invade were on the other side of the map, they attempted, as you see, they were attempting an up and over, they were attempting an overmatch. But because they don't have eyes on the rest of the tanks, you see Fight Breast Cancer and Consequences almost playing shotgun quarterback way far away in the distance to land those crucial shots right here against Commodore, against Makos, against Fatcrobe, as they're trying to engage on the tanks in the bottom of the hill. That's where that position from ILoveLamp won the day.
Exactly. ILoveLamp understanding just pull back, pull them forward. There are too many tanks that are down 1 lane. If we go around this corner, there are now less tanks able to engage on us, and we've got the ability to engage on some other tanks. So we're splitting their fire, is what they're doing. They're not maybe consciously trying to split their fire, but they're understanding basically the concept that we need to take less fire. And on top of that, you have the strategy and the tank positioning set up that you have the ability to cover each and every tank as they try to re-engage. And on top of that, I think the timing was slightly off by FeaR. 1390 on the flank, a little bit too early. A few seconds later, maybe about 5, 6, and then you have a perfect timing where 1390 can move in, zero his shots, and make them all count. Unfortunately, we didn't have that. We had missed shots from, I believe it was Chandog and Make. Oh, sorry, it was Chandog. That was the big one. Fires 6 times, 4 direct hits. 2 of those are penetrations. That is a big problem for the 1390 on the flank. In the meantime, you had Makos go in. He was only able to get off 4 shells before going down. So, unfortunately, right there, the light tanks were dying too early, the big damage dealers, or they were unable to make their shots count.
And this Akula and the Pershing, again, top damage dealer, 2,631. Impressive. But it's also the presence of the Pershing. When you see a lot of these light tanks moving around, these damage dealers like the AMX 1390, if that Pershing can stay alive long enough and track where these tanks are going and to move on that hill appropriately, or to engage against those tanks that are on top of the hill, as we saw, that allows enough time for those mobile tanks to land those shots.
Exactly, those Pershings. And because you're consistent fire, if you stay alive that little bit longer in a brawl, if you just get into that hold down position, fall back like you saw those tanks from I Love Lamp do, you'll live that much longer, and you may even get out of the fight alive because you work so well in hold down, your armor can be so tricky, and you can get off that 1 or 2 more shells, which is all you need to get that kill to keep other members of your team alive and just snowball to victory.
Battle number 2 between Team FeaR and I Love Lamp is about to begin on Murovanka. Excuse me, this is battle number 3 here, as we see tables have turned for both teams. Randall, what do we have for tanks?
All right, now FeaR attacking has brought 2 Pershings, 2 1390s, an RU-251, and 2 M41 Walker Bulldogs. Now, the other side, Lamp has brought 2 IS-3s, a 1390, 3 RU-251s, and a T-37. So the IS-3s coming out from I Love Lamp, this is where you see the 2 teams really differ. I Love Lamp is the kind of team that will bring IS-3s, play that aggressive style, and just go right at you, because that's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting Aggressor Consequences to just ride out, meet some of these FeaR tanks, smash them with their, and literally smash them because they're much heavier, and then just alpha something down. There will be a tank from FeaR that will just be gone in the first few seconds, and that might be Warbander, who's been caught out on the flank and is cut off from the rest of FeaR. He will have to retreat or escape south. Maybe he can grab some attention of I Love Lamp tanks. If he can do that, we could see Baby Halo go down very soon, as I think he is out alone, and Fosticat External are moving up on him right now.
Baby Halo is down. Team FeaR takes the first tank down there, and they're putting their tanks on the fly cap. They are showing their cards on the table right now, and I Love Lamp is going to have to move in quickly. However, Team FeaR has got to set up correctly to defend this aggression, and they're going to have the high ground.
Yeah, they have the high ground, but they don't have enough forces up there yet. Too many tanks on the cap. Commodore and Fat Crow need to back off to the point where they can be supported. If they cannot on the top of this hill, this high ground means nothing. They'll be overwhelmed too quickly, and the flanks around the north and the south will be too much for them to handle, or for any of the light tanks to handle. The focus fire will go towards Invade, though. That 1390 needs to go down fast, and he does.
And Fat Crow gets the kill. A number of shots and resets are happening against Team FeaR, but right now it's a full-on brawl mode between both teams, and Consequences takes down Chandog. Commodore now trying to push behind Akula. Akula goes down from external 7, and you look at all of these tanks that are getting to surround and landing these focus fire shots against I Love Lamp. And Aggressor is the next tank that's going to go down.
And look at the hit points going down so quickly for I Love Lamp. These guys are landing all of their shells. They're focusing well. They have all of the advantages right now, including number of tanks on the battlefield. They will lose Shinma. That is an M41 that is down. Not as big a deal, but he was doing so much work until he died. Now, Consequences, that IS-3, he's in a bad position. Out in the open, on top of a hill.
And Warbander from behind as well in the M41 Walker Bulldog. This Consequences is going to fall here pretty quickly if Warbander can actually penetrate a shot against this tank. That's 2 bounces.
It's a little difficult, actually, for the M41. He has to get the right position because he's that much taller. The spaced armor of the IS-3 is tricky.
Be careful about that spaced armor when he's firing right below it, right above the tracks. Baby Skittles, last tank alive for I Love Lamp, falls, and FeaR puts a point on the board, but they still trail I Love Lamp 1-2, as that will be almost the final battle for Murovanka. We'll have one more between these 2 teams.
One more, and so far we're having attackers win as opposed to the defenders. You're seeing that attacking strategies are getting more and more developed because the pressure is on for them to innovate. I think defenders have not been pressured as much for the majority of the season, and you're starting to see teams that are learning to attack catch up, especially Murovanka, where We have so much open ground, you have so much soft cover with bushes and trees that you can begin playing a vision game, or you can play a game like what we're seeing here where you're taking advantage of vision as a mechanic to catch your opponent off guard. I'm really liking it, but I do think that FeaR in this situation played
a little too risky.
No, they played really well, but it wasn't the fact that they were attacking that one, I think. I think it was just more...
Just the mechanics together.
It was more mechanics. It was not attacker-defender in this situation where I thought that it was I Love Lamp as an attacker winning. This was FeaR on the attack winning, but more due to the way they handled that entire situation. Because it's a weird situation to walk into. IS-3s, 2 of them on an open map like this.
Yeah, it's definitely a wild card type of play when it comes to a tank lineup.
Yeah.
Another wild card I'm going to throw out there is that we haven't seen a lot of Magical Forest play. We've seen tanks travel through it, and we saw I Love Lamp really use the eastern side well to get towards the flag cap. But I feel maybe both teams, if they're trying to outthink each other, maybe thinking, all right, none of us have used the Magical Forest yet. This could be the big push since it's the last time they're going to play on this map tonight. Battle number 4 between Team FeaR and I Love Lamp. What do we have for tanks?
All right, both sides, 2 T-32s. But FeaR brings 2 1390s and RU-251 and 2 M41 Walker Bulldogs. On the other side, I Love Lamp, with their T-32s, will have a 1390, 3 RU-251s, and a T-37. So you can see how these teams favor, in a way, alpha opposed to burst that FeaR seems to be focusing on right now with their M41s and 1390s. Which you have to give credit to, the fact that they're building around that strength. They're not trying to balance it out by bringing a mix of 1390s and RUs to try and achieve that so that they're flexible in that respect. They're trying to make it so that one of their strengths far outweighs their opponent. FeaR far outweighs I Love Lamp in their ability to burst down tanks. But I Love Lamp has the ability to alpha tanks down, and that's one shell next to many shells rapidly, is what I mean by FeaR, by burst and alpha, to anyone that's wondering, because it is very close.
Shots fired against Chandog. He's going to take the first hit for over 200 damage, and the rest of I Love Lamp will move accordingly, firing towards that direction, but no other connections have been made. Baby Halo was the only tank that was spotted, and now I Love Lamp's going to slightly adjust here, but they still have the high ground, still in the defense. Nothing too crazy has happened for either team. And we're seeing more of a spread from Team FeaR, more map control coming from Team FeaR.
Exactly. As they send Fostakid, Warbander down to the southeast, they'll be going against Fight Breast Cancer with cover from Invade, Baby Skittles, and that's... And Baby Halo.
And Baby Halo as well. Not much Magical Force usage, but those 2 tanks did travel through that section of the map.
Not a real clash, but you can see how it's a safe route to take through the map, where it's so far away from the cap points that the defender has to respect and they have to keep safe, that they can't afford to go to the Magical Force.
Fight Breast Cancer hit for 130. Warbanner hits again for another 160 shot here.
That's nice from him. The little bit of damage, that's all he needs to force Fight Breast Cancer down and out so that they can establish Fostakid in a stronger position. Once he's established in that stronger position, they can begin moving up elsewhere, getting that crossfire going on and pressure a tank out of position. You can see how Commodore in the meantime has moved up in his T-32, and instead of being all the way in Echo 3, he's all the way now in Golf 3-4, where he can begin getting support from the southeast.
Couple shots have actually hit into I Love Lamp there. Another one for 242.
Nice, good.
Another one, 512 with that volley. Consequences in trouble. He's taking shots from Team FeaR, from Fostakid and Warbander.
Man, that's external, I think, peeking out. He's gotten behind, actually, that's a destructible building, which I would hope I Love Lamp might take down in just a moment. But in the meantime, external gets to put a little bit more damage out here and there. I'm not going to connect with that one, but someone's finally taking this building down. External can't stay here for much longer without getting pressured out and potentially going down. Looking at the hit points, though, for either team, about even. So no one has that huge advantage yet. There's a shot to make a little bit more of a difference.
As soon as you said it, Randall, as soon as I pointed to your screen to make that point, boom, it happened. But it's a slight one. However, Consequences gets hit again for 239. One shot away from this Pershing from falling. Aggressor's going to try to push up and put some distance, put some
I Love Lamp's
pressure.
Push. Here it comes. Right up and over. Fight Breast Cancer is first, followed by Akula, Invade, Baby Skittles, and Baby Halo. They're going to take him down so fast.
But look at the amount of damage I Love Lamp is taking. Will it be worth it? Chandog and Shinma are in trouble. They can't land that last shot from Chandog. Shinma will be struck down. He has 3 shots left, but look at this long-range fire coming from Team FeaR. They're not going to let these tanks die in vain, and as 3 have fallen for Team FeaR, only 1 has fallen for iLoveLamp, but look at the hit point value difference. It's still in favor of Team FeaR.
But look
slightly.
at the position. Look at the position. FeaR, less tanks in the battlefield. iLoveLamp more, yes. And that would be normally an advantage over hit points. Having more tanks, of course, more guns available. But with Fat Crobe and Commodore, with a high ground, with a hold down available, I think they may be able to take a few tanks down, bring this one back. But on iLoveLamp, you have Invade. Invade is sitting at full health right now. Baby Skittles, almost full health. Baby Halo, full health. Aggressor has taken a little bit of damage and still has 1,000 that he can play with. So I think FeaR and iLoveLamp are still very even. It's just a matter of how they engage where the advantages will lie.
Well, FeaR has the advantage of having that flag cap there, forcing iLoveLamp to engage on either side for the surround. However, due to the nature of Fight Breast Cancer being very low in hit points, along with Akula, this could be a very tough fight for iLoveLamp. And there's the base capture with 41 seconds left. Commodore takes 2 hits, though, trying to distract a little bit of iLoveLamp, trying to hopefully absorb
a little bit too much
hits.
damage.
Yeah.
And now, as every tank from iLoveLamp is pushing in, it's going to be too many tanks to focus down, and there's too many healthy tanks. I think it's going to be a big problem for FeaR to deal with, especially when Aggressor moves out from the north, Invade from the southeast. From both sides, there's not enough damage in one burst to just take down either of those tanks very efficiently and effectively.
Commodore taking a lot of damage here, and Team FeaR has to utilize this timing right now. As long as Commodore's still alive and absorbing these shots, they have to press in on a different angle, and Fossakid's taking a lot of damage. Baby Skittles is being the front of the fire from Team FeaR. He does not go down yet. He's going to back up. Fossakid with 103, and 2 tanks fall at the same time. Commodore goes down along with Fight Breast Cancer.
And Invade moves in. That was sick. Drifting right there to get the kill. And now we're going to watch the rest of FeaR go down. They did not have the damage on the battlefield, even though they had health to compete.
Baby Skittles with 1 shot from falling, and Aggressor moves in against Warbander. Fat Crobe, the last tank left alive, looking for a target with 1 minute and 28 seconds left. iLoveLamp's going to get the surround, and with 1 more shot, take him down. And iLoveLamp leads the series 3-1 as we move into battle number 5.
Yeah, that's surprising because if you look at the standings right now, I think FeaR sits just above iLoveLamp.
Yes.
Most predictions based off of that would have, of course, given favor, but I think iLoveLamp just is 1 step ahead of FeaR today on Murovanka. Big question coming forward is Himmelsdorf, a map which is notorious for defenders being able to successfully defend and attackers just struggling to find the answer. As we look here, FeaR and iLoveLamp, these are 2 teams through this series that have so far been very flexible and are able to improvise to my satisfaction. I like
your
it.
satisfaction?
I don't think I can
reaches
throw
that line of unsatisfied and satisfied.
Yeah.
There's the line. The line's right there, guys. It's right there, and they cross it. The satisfied line.
just like right in there. I'm not gonna like use too many big words to say it's astounding. It's blowing me away. It's just really great to watch.
Really tight gameplay from both these teams. It's really tight, and seeing how they're trying to bounce back from each other with the victories and the losses on Murovanka was a sight to behold, really, when it comes to World of Tanks professional esports. But on Himmelsdorf, I think is going to be the true measure of both these teams.
Exactly. And now we have a timeout called from iLoveLamp. Of course, this is a very typical time for them to do that, which I opens up a little bit of time for them to discuss their next strategies, and of course for us to discuss their next strategies as well.
Yeah, so iLoveLamp is going to be on the attack first on Himmelsdorf, allowing their opponents, Team FeaR, to be on the defense. Northwest most likely will be the play called, at least the safe play to call. However, if they're still playing those mind games, there could be more of an aggressive stance coming from the defenders, not necessarily leaving their territory, not crossing the F line or the Delta line or the Golf line past the courtyard, but staying in a section where they have enough cover, but they're going to pounce on the attackers as they move closer to the northwest position.
Much in the way that we saw timed out play Himmelsdorf very well in the past, where they pull out those strategies. They make sure to be very careful and particular about exactly how they drive so that they're not spotted, detected.
It's almost like proactive defense.
Yeah, like kind of a best defense or best offense is a good defense, best offense good. You can flip it around however you want for whatever situation you want, because it's just like, okay, if you're going to defend, might as well attack. That's one way to go about it, because you're setting the tempo. And that's one kind of trap that you lay. But an ambush is an ambush, and
a victory is a victory.
Exactly.
What matters in the end is if you get the win, if you are attacking as the defenders, if you are defending more as the attackers. That's what matters in the end. And so when teams that would lean further towards defending in the past, like some of our top teams, Simp and Cunningham's, there's nothing wrong with it. But then it pigeonholes your strategies that you bring to the table.
And you become more predictable, which then allows for teams to bring counter straps. Are we going to say? Did you see the E25 thing?
No.
Okay.
No, I did not.
Last week, Retorp and I were here, sitting down watching I Love Lamp, and we thought, well, isn't this nice? They're going to bring a little tiny tank destroyer. That's a premium tank. No one brings premium tanks to this format. They have usually a glaring weakness.
Sometimes a T-34 in the qualifiers we would see.
It can work. I'm not saying it's a bad choice or they're bad tanks. They just have strengths and weaknesses which tend to work out to be easier to exploit for pro players. But the E25 worked out astoundingly. I'm waiting to see if they'll bring it again. Yes, maybe.
Battle number 5 on Himmelsdorf between Team FeaR and I Love Lamp begins right now. Randall, what do we have for tanks?
We have
what do we have for maps? We already have the map. What do you have for tanks?
We have Himmelsdorf, Josh. We have 3 5100s, 2 IS-3s, KB3, and a T-29 for FeaR. Now, I Love Lamp, this is what we saw last week that I think you're going to love. 3 5100s, 2 KB5s, a Tiger 1, and yes, it's an E25. And it's tiny.
Little baby Halo.
Yeah, I think it's going to get... I might have seen something on one of the World of Tanks news sites about it maybe getting a rebalance soon, which would be interesting to see because it might get bigger.
They watched one match and they went, we need to rebalance that tank.
Well, no, it's very small. If you go face-to-face with something like a T-29, the T-29 cannot depress its gun enough to fire at you.
Mm-hmm.
So you can sit face-to-face with a T-29 and it can't do anything about it. Which is, imagine this. You're sitting there in this big heavy tank, you're very powerful, and you run across this little baby of a tank.
Give you guys a quick update in the matchup of Victoria's Secret versus Noble. Victoria's Secret is up 2-0 against Noble.
Wow.
I Love Lamp now pushing through the tank alleyway on the Delta line, and Team FeaR has chosen to stay in that northwestern position, well, it's the most popular. It's the most popular position.
It is. It is because it gets results. Most of the time, you're going to win. Now, what I Love Lamp brings...
Look how fast he is.
It moves quick. Once it gets up to speed, it stays. But it doesn't... Like most fast German tanks, I feel it doesn't turn as well and keep its speed, but it does do what it does very well, which is be small, fast, and annoying. And I think annoying is the big one, because it's not going to be scary when you see it. Mm-hmm. It's just going to be like, oh gosh, if I don't respect this tank, it's going to really make my day horrible.
You can say the same thing about these KB5s.
But you have to respect a KB5. If you don't, you're just...
You won't kill it, and it'll be alive, and it'll
if you don't respect a KB5, you're just dumb. If you don't respect an E25, you're just annoyed, I think. That's how I feel.
Okay.
Like...
That's how Randall feels when you don't respect these tanks.
I respect the KB5 more because it's big, scary.
I Love Lamp moving up to the corner. Aggressor in that Tiger 1 takes the first hit for 396. Bit of cannon fodder for this tank. Still left alive, though, as he crosses. 14-18, and that volley coming from Team FeaR. They are not messing around.
And the KB5s are just going to go right on forward. Consequences taking a majority of this damage. And there he goes. Are they going to... No, they're not blocking this off. No, they are not about to block the way.
Starshield has been able to block the tank with the dead husk of his teammate, and then Kula is pushing up. Camdor and Fat Crow cannot help out, and Starshield will be destroyed soon if he's the continued target from those two tanks, and Akula takes down Warbandor. And that's going to force Team FeaR to move from that position, and they're going to fire straight into Fosta Kid. Invade almost gets the kill. He's low, though. He does get it. Chandog's ready to get the shot, and External and Makos are now pushing in. 16 seconds left on the flag cap.
You shall not pass. That's the strategy.
There goes Invade. 10 seconds left. Aggressor.
Camidor's going to try and get in. I don't think anyone can push him in. Fat Crow's decided to leave him behind.
There goes Aggressor. 17 seconds left now.
Is there an angle? Wait. Camidor might have a shot. He might have the shot if he can get just barely the angle. Because
8 seconds left. Here comes Team FeaR pushing into the center. Baby Halo's going to cruise over to
Camidor gets the shot. He hit Baby Halo 364 just as he tried to escape, but he went into an angle just barely available to Camidor, and he's able to save it. Now Fight Breast Cancer goes down.
Baby Halo up against the corner, waiting for the rest of Team FeaR to come to him. He's going to hold his line, hold his position, and he falls. Akula's now going to be reloaded, and he's going to do as much damage as he can. Misses a shot. Lands one against External. Looking for another hit here towards External. That one does not connect.
Fat Crope's going to close the distance. He's got just enough health. And there it goes.
And Team FeaR puts another point on the board. They still trail I Love Lamp as we'll move on to battle number 6. I've never seen anything like that deliberately from a team. Impressive. Didn't work out, though, because I felt they lost too much firepower because of it.
It was, I think, mostly that they lost the firepower. They weren't able to make the damage up when they sacrificed the KV-5. It's cute because FeaR may not have expected it, but you can see immediately after they see the KV-5s start making the steel wall that you see tanks move south. They make the call quickly. FeaR knows what's going on. They understand the situation, and they know they have to react quickly or they will run out of time. Now, another important part is that the IS-3 you had, that was Commodore. He stayed behind that steel wall of KV-5s, and he made sure to find the shots he could. And when he did, he actually was able to save the battle because he was able to hit that E-25 as he attempted to shift position, which actually went into the line of fire for that IS-3. The iron wall isn't quite, sorry, steel wall. It's not iron. Steel wall is not quite perfect.
Slow-moving tank. It was made of iron.
It's not iron. Steel. Yeah. Got to be clear. Can't let people think that they're made of iron. Steel.
Well, for some of the new viewers that are watching, breaking down why KV-5 would be chosen real quickly on Himmelsdorf.
Hit points, armor, survivability. It has just a large enough pool that a 5100, one of the highest damage dealing tanks, cannot kill you very quickly or very easily. So it's just a tank of tanks.
It could be a tip of a spear, could be a blunt spear, but a spear nonetheless to move into that position against the defending tanks. Battle number 6 is about to begin on Himmelsdorf, again against Team FeaR and I Love Lamp. Randall, what do we have for tanks?
For tanks, we have 3 5100s, 2 IS-3s, KV-3, and a T-29 for FeaR. The defenders on the attack, Lamp will bring 3 5100s, an IS-3, 2 KV-5s, and a KV-2. So aggressor is ready to derp things.
Change coming from Baby Halo, who's now in a 5100.
Yeah, he's going back to a more conventional strategy. They're not going to try and catch FeaR off guard with some kind of crazy cap fast strat. They tried the same style of an attack, southwest, and now look at this Fat Crow opening with crossfire down the 8. They're looking to find some of those KV-5s in transition because KV-5s take a while to get across the 8 line. FeaR knows that their opening move can be 0 on about Foxtrot 7-8 and wait for someone to cross, fire, get a little early damage. Now your opponent, who had a health point advantage at the beginning because of their tank choices, is behind. They still have some armor, yes, but now they just have a big, slow, less healthy tank. And you didn't take much damage for it. Blind fire going out, no connections. I Love Lamp has paced themselves so that exactly this will happen, and then they can work around it. You can see how the meta is beginning to evolve in this respect. I Love Lamp must delay, waste time in order to not take damage. If they cross, they take damage, but they save on time.
Pushing up along Tank Alley, that's what we call the 8 line, 7-8 line here on this map, as Consequences will be leading the charge in that KV-5.
Wow, Aggressor almost hit Fat Crow. He fired one just huge 152mm AT shell.
And it had to have been blind fire?
I believe it was.
Baby Halo's been
the
the
timing,
only tank spotted.
The timing of it was such that I think he was really paying attention to where FeaR would be, because that is an important part of being that high-level tanker. It's not seeing your opponent or knowing how to find them. It's knowing where they're going to be and acting accordingly, and even being able to fire at opponents you can't see.
We're seeing a split now coming from I Love Lamp. At least the KV-5s are pushing up against that corner that we see many, many times from teams trying to break against the defending team. The defenders, FeaR, can either wait for the time to run out or destroy all the enemy tanks. I Love Lamp, as the attackers, must destroy all enemy tanks on the battlefield or capture one of the 2 flag caps you'll see noted on the map.
Exactly. Now, as I Love Lamp gets set up, we're going to wait to see where FeaR reacts. You're noticing that FeaR hasn't updated their strategies to something more European or Russian, and are staying with an IS-3 to hold the position where Commodore currently is. That's about Charlie 3. Instead of going with that T-32 to play some angles, hull down, but they're going to try and preserve the damage potential that Commodore has instead of opting for something maybe safer, you could call it. But there are pros and cons of each decision in that respect.
Well, safety can only get you so far in World of Tanks.
You're not safe. You're on a battlefield with rolling.
Yeah, but playing
steal.
safe. You have to take calculated risks, necessary risks, in order to break through a defensive play like this coming from Team
Here's
FeaR.
the North.
And here's Invade and Aggressor now moving, firing against Chandog on the move. Beautiful shot. Commodore gets hit as well. And I Love Lamp is pressing in, and Team FeaR has lost some significant hit points, but I Love Lamp is starting to lose hit points on their 5100s. The last tanks they want to lose, the tanks that do the most amount of damage in the least amount of time, and they lose Baby Halo. 5 breast cancer goes down. That's 3 tanks destroyed in a matter of seconds. Team FeaR has locked down this position, and even though Commodore is low, Team FeaR is in control of what's happening.
Yeah, Commodore being alive at this point is just a feat for him. Invade's going to be able to move in and get a kill, but he may begin losing a lot of hit points. Looks like Aggressor's going to pick that up, not wanting to risk it. He's got HE, he's going to deal the damage. But they lost a lot on their KV5s, I think is the big thing that I Love Lamp did. They went in with KV5 separate. Starshield is still alive, but he's not going to be dealing enough damage. The 5100s, those tanks you were pointing out earlier that are so important, went down so quickly, and they didn't have someone there to screen. Now, Makos does go down. I Love Lamp is making some gains, but
now they're up against 3,713 hit points against their 1,442.
Precisely.
Team FeaR can land their shots, they can focus on the next target and sweep the rest of these tanks under the rug for a victory, but they still have to be calculated in their push. Invade can still do damage from behind by taking out Fosta Kid, and this is where Team FeaR has to be cautious. They know where Akula and Aggressor is, but they have to decide whether to engage against Invade first.
Aggressor may have a shot on
So
external.
Steve's, and he gets it! Beautiful shot coming from Aggressor.
That is crucial. Look at how it's just brought things a little bit closer. Yes, they're going to lose Aggressor. Yes, they're going to lose Akula, but there was just a moment there where you're seeing tanks of I Love Lamp just go down so quickly.
Invade, 1 shot away from falling. That shot doesn't ring true from one of Team FeaR's tanks further to the south. Another one bounces. War Banner is going to be ready, prepped, and he fires. And Team FeaR now ties up the series 3-3, and we're going to move on to battle number 7. The difference, though, is that FeaR is going to have to attack against I Love Lamp.
I mean, yes, they did just have 2 successful defenses. I think I give that to FeaR understanding their opponent, though. You look at these strategies. They know exactly what I Love Lamp is doing. They understand how to react. I saw 5100s instead of getting tunnel vision, focusing on KV5s. Instead, shifting that focus to more important tanks, those 5100s. You watch how 3 tanks go down so quickly. That is because FeaR was making the right call. They knew which way to focus the majority of their firepower and their attention, and you can see its effect. I Love Lamp lost all momentum. They had some firepower left, but not nearly enough to get the job done.
Yeah, and that firepower is what's going to make a difference when those KV5s are there, obviously, and they're doing work. They're doing the necessary damage that they can, or even the KV3 for War Banner, but those 5100s are so crucial, and so for them to just hang in the middle for a little while longer, it was a perfect time for Team FeaR. Take a little bit of a risk, but to move out and get those kills.
Yeah, and the KV5s, as I look at their performance, I'm seeing that Starshield, he does do a good 1,162 damage, but he does only block about 780 by armor. He absorbs the rest. You're really hoping, I think, to get above 1,000 with a KV5, and then unfortunately Consequences was just, the fire was too accurate. You had FeaR making too many accurate shots, and he didn't get to bounce almost anything, which is, I think you have to give it to FeaR, playing really well around a KV5. KV5, I'll raise the question of this. Because players are getting better at dealing with KV5s as they become more and more common, will KV5s become less popular because their cons may begin to outweigh what used to be strong pros?
The biggest challenge, obviously, is picking the best tank for the situation. And so I don't think there's a clear, concise answer for this tank is always going to be better than this tank because it's what you want to accomplish and how you want to accomplish it. If you want more hit points to be at the front, the KV5 is going to be the best choice, hands down, for what it is. And that's why we still see teams bring it.
All right, I think that's a perfect explanation of the situation there. Now, tanks, as we get into battle number 7, we will have 3 5100s, 2 IS-3s, 2 ISs for Team FeaR on their first attack on Himmelsdorf. I Love Lamp, now defending, will bring 2 5100s, a single IS-3, a single KV-5, which is rare on defense, a Waffentrager with Baby Halo, T-29, and the Tiger 1, giving them a very healthy lineup. But the KV-5 is something I think is curious, because we don't often see it on defense. But if you really just think about it, it's a why not? It's a good tank. It has plenty of hit points. It can be the wall that protects your 5100s or even your Waffentrager. And it doesn't need to be fast. why would you need to be fast on defense? You're waiting for FeaR to come to you.
And that's what I Love Lamp is doing right now in the northwest position. And FeaR is going to be the first team in this series to take three of those tanks, excuse me, on the hillside.
Yes, they're going to be bringing up and over. External Fostikid. Okay, so this is something that is fun to see. I saw this, I believe, on the Russian and European leagues, and we're now starting to see it in the North American League, where there is an angle, I believe, from external. And I'll have to go a little bit into free cam.
Yeah, to see what kind of angle he can actually accomplish from that section.
He has just a little bit, as you can see the turret's now facing that direction. If there were a tank in Alpha 2 sitting, and Josh, I believe you can grab the other angle.
That's where they're firing right now. You can see those shots land, and Akula has fallen back away from that section. There you see those shots hit. There's a pop mark right there. Another one. If any tanks were in that position, they totally get it. Akula saying, hey guys, I'm going to wait here. Good luck with the rest of the battle until we can find where those tanks are.
But notice that he's just sitting there looking to wall. And the question, of course, is why? Well, of course, it's because of what just occurred, right? Yep. So you're seeing FeaR and I Love Lamp yet again, just kind of one-upping each other constantly. Where FeaR tries to bring that counter fire to get a few hits, a little extra early damage, I Love Lamp recognizes what FeaR's going to do and understands they need to account for these little tactics, these little not hugely time-consuming motions.
Yeah, very well done from Team FeaR, at least on the onset, that they were able to land a shot. But
I Love Lamp's one step ahead.
They were one step ahead. They were ready for it. 4 minutes and 30 seconds, 33 seconds here for Team FeaR to push in and attack. Plenty of time to calculate and recalculate. But they do not have all the time in the world, and that's where we're starting to see some movement along the Delta line coming from.
Shots fired from external, down towards Aggressor, I believe.
Nothing has landed yet for either team as Team FeaR is approaching. Another shot out. Aggressor is spotted. And no one is spotted on the side of Team FeaR yet.
And external's waiting for that perfect shot, I think. Shot out? No.
Fires into the ruins, does not penetrate, does not go through. Does not go through the windows.
It's a little bit of a difficult shot. It's a rather far shot. You're trying to make an angle that's not great. Not, you know, your whole reticle fills an area which is going to cover most of, it's going to be mostly cover. It's not going to be mostly tank, and you're just hoping for that perfect center shot.
FeaR finally takes a hit, and so does Fostikid. Firing back, though, a beautiful shot against Warbander, and he's going to be the first tank to fall as he crosses the open alley, and Meadowhawk has been hit as well.
But he will make it, gets tracked, burns his repair kit for it, and now he's looking for that angle on Consequences, does not make the connection as FeaR joins him.
Trying to look through the smoke. Consequences, and the rest of his teammates will push a little bit further here towards Team FeaR's position. FeaR gets hit, and that's going to cause a reset.
Yeah, that's Aggressor making a perfect shot right into the top of his turret. Exactly what needs to be. FeaR recognizes he needs to move forward. We need to pressure Aggressor out of this position so that we can put cap points on, force I Love Lamp to make a bad decision. And here's where the KV-5 is going to start coming in, where I Love Lamp needs hit points, and they need to be able to make a counter push into the cap to stop that pressure. And there's an Emorak. Consequences getting a perfect shot onto FeaR.
Warbander and FeaR are down, and the staggering advantage that I Love Lamp has is going to continue to pummel Team FeaR. Camador takes a hit for 291. Consequences in that KV-5 is really that shield, that moving wall for the rest of the 5100s and even the IS-3 Baby Skittles, who takes a hit for 447. Camador finally gets a shot against the 5100, and now Team FeaR knows who to target. Akula is hitting the tracks, but he fires on the back foot, moving behind, retreating, and gets a kill against Fostikid. Nice play by Akula.
Although now External has some pretty good cover, and he's able to take Fight Breast Cancer down, so we got a 5100-5100 trade. But in favor, I Love Lamp. They have the hit points, they have the tanks alive. Baby Halo can nuke a tank the second he hits it. Anyone but Chandog should be gone if he's able to make that.
And there's
hit.
that nuke, 776 against Chandog, who's going to have to fall back and target fire against Baby Halo, who will be covered by Akula. Beautiful setup and a great call. Consequences takes down Meadowhawk around the corner, and he starts to push in, and I Love Lamp is looking for the complete kill here.
There we go. Baby Halo able to stay alive just long enough and force Chandog into a bad situation. Is able to get the second shot off. 2 shots to get the kill.
External has a minute and 29 seconds to either defeat all the remaining tanks or get a flag cap. 9 possible for him.
Go Super Saiyan.
So he takes a hit for 322. Breaking down FeaR's approach, I felt that they really couldn't find an opening against the defenses of I Love Lamp. They had a number of shots against aggressive. None of them penetrated. None of them got through. And even the baby Halo beautiful play of 779 hit points, he had the mobility to get behind the tanks at any time, and he did so.
But he's also a very delicate tank. He has to, pay attention to not overextend, and he's very close to overextending. He was riding that line, really, and you got to give it to him for not overplaying his hand and going down for that.
Baby Skittles pushing the KV5 to get up some more horsepower to move faster.
Got to share the horses.
Yeah, now Consequence is going to push forward. 38 seconds left for External to be found, or
I think he's just waiting right now.
Yeah,
right now FeaR's talking about what's our next move. We have to win this one on a tiebreaker, and now Akula has found his target and has not been able to get the kill.
And
Akula!
External.
No.
Can he fire back and get the kill?
Don't.
Consequences
Okay.
from above. Fires for effect and hits his target. Battle number 7 will go in favor of I Love Lamp, bringing us to battle 8. And as you mentioned, it's a must-win for Team FeaR right now to take it to the tiebreaker.
Now, Team FeaR does have their timed out left, so they can call a timeout right now, wait a little bit more time, maybe think about what their final attack is going to be on this map, what they need to do in order to tie this up, bring it to a tiebreaker, and keep themselves potentially ahead of I Love Lamp right now. Because if FeaR wins in the tiebreaker, they'll be able to keep just a little bit ahead in the standings, which is great for them. I Love Lamp, they really need this win as well. I think if they can finish this one out, one more good defense, awesome. For I Love Lamp, they'll pick up 3 points. That'll be great for them in this season, breaking their ties and also getting better standings going into the playoffs. But you've got to give it to both these teams. They're playing so very close right now. I think it's a lot about the sides and their play styles on these maps coming into play. I think you have FeaR on the defense of Himmelsdorf playing excellently. Their attack, though, against I Love Lamp's attacks, against I Love Lamp's defenses, sorry, are just not working.
I think they put too much emphasis on the hill opening. And because of that, there was no advantage, no hit point advantage. None of the shots hit because I Love Lamp was not in that position. And from there, Team FeaR was trying to pick up momentum to strike through the defense. I feel that Team FeaR needs to utilize the West more. If it's a long-range fire from the south, if it's a fake push, something to break up a little bit of this bastion coming from almost any defender here on Himmelsdorf. It's one of the biggest questions that teams have to answer. How do we break through the defenses?
You're right, and we've seen I Love Lamp pull those west side strats
and we've seen Timed Out pull those strats as well.
You're right. I think, though, I Love Lamp gets way more success in that department, but we're playing now. FeaR's against a team which has done probably some of the best work to make attacks on Himmelsdorf succeed, in that they pulled out crazy strats. The E25 thing, for example, that was something that was surprising all of us, including their opponents. And I don't know if FeaR has something ready which is going to surprise I Love Lamp, a team that's in a simple tankers level, in a top tier of last season level, pulling out crazy strategies. So FeaR may need to just do something more conventional and try and work on their just core execution of that.
If there's a time to play any of those cards, it's in this battle. It really is. And teams that may be holding on to a special strategy for the playoffs or something, I can recognize that. I can empathize with them, but you've got to get these 3 points.
I mean,
now 2 points if they get the victory over a tiebreaker.
You could think that, as you bring that up, they could be saying, all right, how much can we afford to lose and still make it to the playoffs and bring these strategies that we desperately need to keep safe for that time? So if you're playing with that idea, they could be holding on to it and accepting the fact that they could lose by not playing that strategy.
Yeah, and that's a very tough call to make, but that is part of the responsibility of being a team leader.
That's so difficult.
It is a very difficult call.
I feel like I would never want to hold on to hidden strategies ever because of just that. Yeah. Because you're pressured to make the decision, and I just kind of would want to run with it. I feel like that's my choice. If I were FeaR, I would just run with whatever hidden strategy I have. If I were I Love Lamp, I think I could play it safe right now, but I could still reasonably say, even on defense, crazy strat might be due.
Quick update about the Victoria's Secret versus Noble series. Victoria's Secret is up 3-1 against Noble. We'll keep you updated as the rest of that non-broadcasted match unfolds. Let's jump into battle number 8 between Team FeaR and I Love Lamp. I Love Lamp is up 4-3. Randall, what do we have for tanks?
All right, FeaR, for their final attack, 3 5100s, 2 IS3s, 2 ISs. It's a lot of alpha, a lot of burst. On the other side, I Love Lamp will meet that with 2 5100s, a single IS3, consequences in that KV5 again, Waffentrager, T29, and a Tiger 1. That same healthy lineup, that same KV5 armor, that same Baby Halo Waffentrager just derping power.
The dirt power of that Waffentrager is quite impressive. Tank destroyers have that type of power. And there are different types of tanks that you can choose. Again, for some of our new viewers here, the 7 tanks that you can choose from, the max tier points are 8. You can either have 5 tier 8s and 2 tier 7s, or 6 tier 8 tanks and 1 tier 6. If you want to check out the different tanks, there's a wiki, there's all sorts of information. Go to worldoftanks.com.
Yep, you can also just download for free, start your account today. And also, don't forget, if you stop by Reddit, for example, the worldoftanks.com, oh sorry, reddit.com/r/worldoftanks, you can, I think, pick up an invite code. Get yourself a little premium time, a little gold, and a tank to help you along the way.
Baby Skittles firing for effect into the different cover that teams can approach from. We're seeing a hill play again coming from Team FeaR. 2 tanks this time instead of 3.
But FeaR is not going to attempt that same long-range fire. They know that I Love Lamp is going to account for that. And so they're just going to say, okay, let's skip that. Let's not waste any time. Let's try and get our advantages elsewhere. So Fat Crow has moved down. Looks like he's going to try and snipe onto... Who is that on I Love Lamp? Looks like...
Fat Crow fires.
No shot?
No connection.
Now, this is interesting. Look at Fostakid's position. He's all the way to the southwest. Looks like right now about Kilo 2, moving into Kilo 1. And he may have a crossfire on positions that get spotted by other members of FeaR. And we can see blind fire moving down with Baby Skittles, I believe. And it could be Aggressor. No, Akula, maybe. Firing down south, trying to see if there's anything there. Hit it if it is. But Fostakid, if he sneaks into the backfield, could wreak havoc, especially if he can catch a tank like Baby Halo or any of the other 5100s out where they cannot escape. It's going to come down to timing and to Fostakid paying very particular attention to how he's moving and where tanks from I Love Lamp are. As Baby Skittles peeks back and then forward, there's a small moment where he could have been spotted, but he's lucky to not be at this moment. He does knock down some crucial cover, possibly revealing his position to some members of I Love Lamp.
Aggressor has been hit. That is the first blood, the first opening, and he's hit again. Commodore now being very calculated with his shots, and Consequences is hit now. We're seeing some shifts happen for Team FeaR as they're doing the damage at the beginning of the skirmish, quite possibly, trying to whittle down those tanks before they push in.
Now, Akula has spotted Fostakid. Baby Halo is moving into support, so we've got a 2v1 in the west. If Fostakid recognizes the situation he's in, he could inform the rest of FeaR. That could prompt a push. FeaR would have an overmatch in that situation and be able to overpower some of the tanks in Alpha 5. And it looks like they are going to begin moving in. I'm seeing Meadowhawk moving in, also Warbender. As they get closer, and if Fostakid is able to keep the attention of Akula, Baby Halo, and Baby Skittles, that means there are only 4 tanks left to pay attention to the remaining 6 of FeaR. An overmatch that I think FeaR would love.
I think they would as well. Base capture 20 seconds. Team FeaR has staked their claim now in this northern section, and they've spread themselves out to try to cover any movement coming in from I Love Lamp. Chandog can see fight breast cancer. You may also see Akula turning the corner. Now the engagement continues as Aggressor falls, and Baby Skittles is getting hit from Fostakid. Fostakid from that south has 3 shots. He fires again towards Baby Skittles, does not connect.
Looks like it was meant for Consequences, actually.
Possibly.
To stop him.
Baby Halo's trying to move back, but he gets hit for 271. Fostakid shuts him down for a second. Baby Halo looking for that opening, though. No tanks now on the flag cap, and Team FeaR has the advantage. Consequences goes down, and Starshield's going to get surrounded.
Yeah, now to the south, Fight Breast Cancer is trying to take on Chandog, but he does make a connection. Doesn't have a lot more shells. They don't have a lot more damage. Whoever makes the next shot between Fight Breast Cancer and Chandog. Oh, Chandog's on the reload.
And Baby Halo fired, and he hit Nothing. He hit the dead tank, and now Team FeaR is ready for him. 2 shots, 3 shots. There goes Baby Halo. All tanks still left alive for Team FeaR. 3 remain for I Love Lamp. Five Breast Cancer has 1 shell left, and he has 1 shot left before he falls. Baby Skittles and Akula are in the center, and they're going to get overmatched very quickly from Team FeaR.
Yeah, Commodore and External are moving in. External waiting for the reload. Chandog will go down to the south. I don't think it matters. FeaR has done an excellent job here, and they will take that 5 Breast Cancer. Now, focusing on Baby Skittles, and next, Akula.
Akula gets hit for 300. Meadowhawk now going to push up, and he goes down, and Team FeaR does it. They tie up the series, taking us to a tiebreaker. We're going to have to confer with the admin to find out who did the most amount of damage over all those battles in order for them to choose whether to attack or defend. We're being told that FeaR did more damage overall, and so they will have the choice of either attack or defense, and the tiebreaker map is going to be Cliff.
Oh, man.
T49s. Here we go.
That's what it's going to come down to, but knowing I Love Lamp, we could even see IS-3s, something crazy like that. I'm not going to make a call for whatever tank we're going to see. We could see a lot of things from them. FeaR, I think, is going to bring the more conventional lineup in this situation, and is going to just try and execute cleanly on that, pulling out those clever shots, those good angles, the good maneuvers there, trying to stay one step ahead, but using the most well-established tools and the most reliable tools at their disposal. I Love Lamp may try to bring out that crazy strat that we've seen from them in the past.
Team FeaR has chosen to defend on Cliff, and so we'll wait until the countdown is finished to jump into the game. Teams will have 60 seconds to choose their tanks before we jump into the battle. Only 1 tank was down from Team FeaR. That was Chandog in the 5100, and he did over 1,000 damage. Everybody did over 1,000 damage on Team FeaR, and that is what made this push into the defense possible, getting those shots on aggression, getting those shots on other tanks peeking around those corners, and then FostaKid showing up and covering the south. It was beautiful from Team FeaR.
Yeah, that was what did it. It's such a subtle thing, too, isn't it? That a 5100 is just going to be on the other flank. What are you going to do about it? Well, obviously, 5100's over there. We could probably just ignore it, right? We can just say, okay, that's out of the way. Ignore it. We've got an overmatch elsewhere. But that's not really the situation, because you can't just shift tanks from where you have them safely without taking fire from FostaKid. He also has spotting. He also represents the unknown. You don't know where every single tank of FeaR is. You don't know if there's more tanks to the south. You don't know if they're waiting around some other corner for you. So what FostaKid did to I Love Lamp mentally, I think, and kind of it threw everything off, because it's so unexpected. It doesn't make sense tactically from a perfect strategy standpoint. If you want to make the most perfect attack, it's like the most force from one direction or from a general front. But if you bring around that little flank, generally you think, but that weakens my front.
Yeah.
So
and if the enemy knows that, they know they can push. And so that's why you have those quarterback tanks, those shotgun tanks, where they don't know where they are. They have no idea where they are. They haven't been spotted. They assume that, okay, if there's 3 tanks there, there's most likely 4, maybe even 5.
Yeah. But we have that third-person view. We get to watch the game where all information is out there, and we get to see, okay, we know where every tank is. We know who has this many hit points. We even know who's loaded. These guys don't get to see that. They don't even get to see their allies when they're loaded. They have to tell each other and use the in-game, reload, what is it, Z, and then if you use the mouse thing, you go down to the right or something, and it's on the function keys. I usually revamp mine, but yeah. So they with our information, it seems like such an easy decision, but when you're down there as one of the players, everything is completely different.
It's called dramatic irony, where the audience can see what's happening in the full story, but the people playing on the battlefield cannot. Shakespeare was really good at that. Let's go ahead and move into battle number 9, the tiebreaker match between FeaR and I Love Lamp. What do we have for tanks?
All right, we have a T69, a 1390, 2 RU-251s, a single 9 and 2 M41 Walker Bulldogs for FeaR, the red team who have chosen defense. I Love Lamp has chosen to bring 3 RU-251s, 2, not 1 T49, 2 of them, and an M41 Walker Bulldog. So Akula, Star Shield, I Love Lamp is depending on them to perform in order to just get their lead. And while the T49 mantle for FeaR rests entirely on Chandog and his amazing derp skills.
Movement from Invade and Aggressor into the center, along with the rest of I Love Lamp, while Baby Halo and Consequences.
Oh, this is a strong center push from I Love Lamp. They are taking control right there. You see Invade, Aggressor moving up, Star Shield, 5 Breast Cancer. All of them just waiting for someone to cross.
They're looking for that opening, and Akula gets hit for 257.
480.
Again for 481.
Not bad. That's from FeaR down below. I'm going to have to go find him. This is a position we usually didn't see a 1390 in, but FeaR waiting in the perfect little hidey hole. He's gotten 2 good shells, and that's going to mean when the T-49 Chandog is able to engage upon a Kula, it's going to be easier for him to get the kill. He's not going to have to, you know, think about what if I low roll too much? Is the risk of this kill too much because of that? Now, Chandog can take a slightly larger risk to get the kill on a Kula, while knowing that there's a possibility that he can live while getting that crucial kill, taking that gun off the battlefield. Now, what's also cool, look at External. This is a little bit of just map knowledge coming into play. He's going to play the Mountain Goat.
Yeah, but this map knowledge, especially in this section of the map, has made or broke, has been such a significant impact on so many different teams that you would see teams break their own tracks trying to escape from these positions or trying to make shots from these positions.
It's so tricky though, because you think that you can slide down some of this cover,
Chandog hit for 141.
But a few kilometers an hour faster or slower, and it becomes you fall off a cliff, or you don't have the momentum to go to a certain spot. Everything changes based on tiny little factors of the way you drive when it comes to the Lighthouse Hill.
Quick update on the Victoria's Secret versus Noble matchup. Victoria's Secret takes the series 5-1 against Noble. We'll keep you updated with the other matches that will not be broadcasted tonight. We have 4 matches that you'll see live and 4 matches that are played off stream on Tuesdays and Thursday nights here in the final week. We'll have the playoffs next week. But right now, we're trying to see who's going to win this series, Team FeaR or I Love Lamp, as they are waiting for one another to make a mistake, to push out too soon. And Invade is up on that lighthouse. That high ground can be very significant if Team FeaR falls back and away from this position.
Now look, Fat Crow, Warbander, we're grouped up with FeaR. I think they chose to not send FeaR in, deciding instead that we need more forces to prepare for the inevitable up and over in the middle from I Love Lamp. But Warbander and Fat Crow are going to head around to the west and start working on that flank. Baby Halo is spotted, and I think he's going to start taking some fire. Shots fired, but no connection yet. Consequences moves to his aid. Baby Halo has to fall back.
And FeaR can wait. They have the advantage as the defenders. I Love Lamp now seeing some movement from Aggressor and Fight Breast Cancer on the east side. The famous east side that I'd love to advocate back in the 7x42 days, and now in 754. It's slightly different, but still the same possible advantage coming from either side. More shots fired coming from Invade. He hits External.
And forces from FeaR, that T-69, Warbander, and Fat Crow are moving back, but they're going to be late to return to this fight, and that's going to give an advantage in the opening shots to I Love Lamp. They have more guns on target. They will take down Metahawk and External immediately.
2 tanks down, and Cam Doors the third, and there he goes. Chandog's now's in trouble, and I Love Lamp has us around. They have the firepower, they have the hit points, and they have the armor, and now they have 3 tanks to destroy to take this series. Beautiful sweeping surround coming from those tanks on the east side, and now they're pushing up against Team FeaR with 2 minutes and 51 seconds left. FeaR get hit for a double of 535. Invade's going to move up behind him in the RU-251. Fat Crow on the reload. Nice shot on the move from Invade. Goes for the ram damage. Doesn't get the kill. FeaR has barely any hit points left, and I Love Lamp gets the last shot. 2 tanks remain from Team FeaR.
In fact, Crow almost reloaded. Doesn't have really the damage to do this. Gotta give it to I Love Lamp. The timing on this attack was perfect, and I think FeaR, after their failed attempt on the west side of this, it was all in I Love Lamp to take the reins and just steer this one to victory.
Last tank alive, Warbander on the run. Beautiful play coming from I Love Lamp. And Randall, this has to be one of the best series we've seen, not just from these 2 teams, but I think overall this season. This is a wonderful example of the highly measured improvement we're seeing from teams that have joined us. Both these teams joined us for the first time in the Gold League at the beginning of Season 5.
Yeah, and actions that used to have minor consequences are now having sweeping ones. For example, in this final battle, something that used to have no real effect would end in such a way, and now
Warbander gets at least 1 kill. Puts one tank, destroyed tank on the board, 2 tanks total for I Love Lamp, and that does it. I Love Lamp takes the series 5-4 against Team FeaR. That sweeping motion, that calculated movement at the same time is what did Team FeaR in.
Yeah, it was an attempt to go for some kind of perceived weakness, catch someone off guard while they really weren't paying attention to their flanks. Didn't work. Players from I Love Lamp were paying attention. They knew it was coming, and when it started, when they saw that pressure, they saw the M41, they saw the T-69, they knew they're weak when it comes to the Northeast. So let's just push. And I think it was as simple as that. It wasn't anything much more complex. They brought in a strong maneuver in order to execute upon pushing in on the northeast. They brought some tanks around the east, up and over, so that you had multiple angles of fire. You weren't having anyone falling over each other. You didn't have a strong focus coming in that was going to work against you. Too many tanks, too many directions. Nothing that FeaR could do to stop them.
And as we don't say goodbye to either of these teams, they're still in the running for the playoff. But highly impressive performance from both I Love Lamp and Team FeaR. That does it for our first matchup. Our next matchup, Simple Tankers versus Simply Irresistible, begins after this. Stay tuned.